In the heart of the dense woods, far beyond the reach of curious travelers and hikers, stands a cabin long forgotten by time. Its weathered walls, once a warm refuge, now creak under the weight of years spent alone in isolation. The windows are boarded up, the glass shattered long ago, allowing only the faintest trickle of daylight to seep through the cracks. Weeds grow like wild tendrils, reclaiming the yard, wrapping themselves around the posts and stairs, almost as if nature itself is trying to swallow the cabin whole. The air is thick with the scent of decay, old wood, rotting leaves, and the faint, lingering smell of something long gone. The silence here is unnatural, broken only by the occasional rustle of wind or the distant call of birds that have made the place their home. Yet, despite the desolation, there's an unnerving energy, a presence that seems to pulse beneath the surface. As if something or someone is waiting. This isn't just any cabin. This is a place steeped in secrets, secrets that are buried deep, far beneath the layers of dust and neglect. And it's here, in this forsaken place, that something profound happened. Something that has yet to be uncovered. But as time stands still, the question remains, who or what is still tethered to this cabin? Through the trees, moving like a shadow, is a lone figure, a German shepherd, his once pristine coat now matted and dull, weighed down by the harshness of his journey. His ribs press against his skin, a visible reminder of the long days spent wandering the woods, scavenging for scraps, always on the move. His eyes, once sharp and alert, now carry a weariness that only time and hardship can create. He's no longer the proud military dog he once was, the dog who walked alongside his handler, a companion in battle, a protector. Now, he's nothing more than a survivor. Each step he takes echoes in the silence of the woods, yet despite the hunger that gnaws at him, despite the fatigue that drags him down, there's something else that drives him. Something invisible, yet undeniable. The cabin. It calls to him. Not with sound, not with words, but with a force he can't explain. He's been here before. He knows this place. Something inside him stirs, a whisper of recognition, and yet, his instincts are at war with him. This cabin isn't safe, he knows it. It's been abandoned for too long. But still, he can't turn away. He circles the perimeter, sniffing the air, his sharp nose detecting the faint scent of something familiar, something that might bring him the peace he's been searching for. The smell of the place is heavy with memories, memories he's tried to bury, but they're rising to the surface once again. Someone, once lived here. And it feels like he belongs here too. The German shepherd is drawn to it, despite himself. Something waits for him here. But what? The dog stops. His body goes still, his legs planted firmly in the dirt as he gazes at the cabin's entrance. His eyes, clouded with exhaustion and pain, narrow as though searching for something, someone. His chest rises and falls with slow, steady breaths, and his ears flick, straining to hear any sound beyond the wind rustling through the leaves. But he doesn't move. He won't. The door is cracked open, the wood hanging on its hinges, barely able to keep the memories inside. He can smell the remnants of something familiar, something that's not just the decay of the abandoned house, but the faint scent of someone he once knew. Someone who left him behind. The German shepherd stands at the threshold, as if frozen in time. His body tenses, then relaxes, a silent battle within. He doesn't need to enter. He doesn't need to remember. But the pull is too strong. He stands there, unwavering, as if waiting for a sign. Waiting for something. For someone. His instincts tell him to move on, to keep going, but his heart tells him to stay. This moment, this stillness, is significant, a point in his life he can't ignore. The cabin, the memories, his past, it all comes rushing forward. And so, he stays. What is it that this dog knows, that we don't? Why can't he leave this cabin behind? Is it the memory of his handler, the one he's lost, the one he still carries with him? Or is it something darker, something that calls to him from within the walls of the cabin, waiting to be uncovered? The German Shepherd refuses to walk away, standing guard over the entrance, a silent protector, still waiting for something only he understands. The mystery deepens. What's hidden in the shadows of this forgotten cabin? And why is he so unwilling to leave? It wasn't just the uniform or the mission that made Rex feel like a soldier. It was Ethan, his handler, his partner. The two were inseparable, a unit bound by more than just training. It was a bond forged in the heat of battle, in the moments of life and death. Rex wasn't just a dog to Ethan, he was family. He was the one who saved him in the most dangerous of times, and he was the one who never left his side. Together, they served on missions that no one would wish to be a part of, navigating through treacherous terrains, facing threats that would send any human soldier into a panic. Yet, Rex stood with Ethan through it all. He was a sentinel, his instincts honed to perfection, alert to every sound, every movement, every danger. They communicated without words. Rex's sharp gaze and Ethan's firm commands were all they needed. Trust was their foundation. The kind of trust that could only exist between a soldier and their dog, where life depended on every decision, every breath. In the field, they were more than man and dog. They were brothers. Rex would stay by Ethan's side, regardless of the circumstances. He'd face danger head-on, knowing Ethan was there to guide him. In return, Ethan ensured Rex's safety, his partner's well-being. And in return, Rex would do the same. Their bond was indestructible, a quiet understanding between them that needed no explanation. They were a team, a family, fighting for each other, surviving together. The sun was beginning to set when the ambush hit. It was supposed to be a routine mission, a check on enemy positions, a sweep of the area, and then back to base. But as Rex and Ethan moved through the dense forest, it happened. Gunfire erupted from all sides, a deafening barrage that seemed to come from nowhere. The ground trembled with the force of explosions, and chaos reigned. Ethan's orders were lost in the sound of gunfire. Rex immediately went into defensive mode, his instincts taking over. He barked orders with his movements, signaling to Ethan, guiding him through the chaos. But the battle raged, and the odds were overwhelming. Rex didn't hesitate. When the bullets started to fly, Rex darted into the fray, positioning himself between Ethan and the enemy. He tackled an attacker, knocking him off balance, and allowed Ethan just enough time to take cover. But then the blast came. A grenade. It landed too close to Ethan. The force knocked him off his feet, leaving him unconscious and vulnerable. Rex stood tall, his fur matted with dirt and blood, his body trembling from the chaos, but his eyes remained sharp. He could see Ethan lying there, motionless. The enemy was closing in. Without a second thought, Rex ran to Ethan, despite the overwhelming danger, despite the bullets flying around him. He nudged his handler with his nose, trying to rouse him, his heart pounding as he felt the weight of the situation. Rex's instincts screamed at him to protect, to guard, to get Ethan to safety. And that's when it happened. Rex, knowing the gravity of their bond, made the ultimate sacrifice. He positioned himself over Ethan's unconscious body, as if to shield him from the next oncoming attack. He growled fiercely, his teeth bared, his muscles tensed, ready for whatever came next. That was when backup arrived. But for Rex, the damage had already been done. The emotional toll of the event had scarred him as much as the physical. He had protected Ethan with his very life, and now, seeing his handler in such a vulnerable state, Rex's world began to crumble. The heroism of that moment was only matched by the heartbreak that followed. The bond they shared had been solidified, etched into both their souls forever. The hospital was quiet, too quiet for Rex. Ethan was unconscious for days, but when he woke, his condition was worse than anyone had anticipated. His injuries were severe, and despite the best medical efforts, it was clear that Ethan's service had come to an end. The military made the decision. Rex would be retired, sent back home. But not to the life he had once known. Not to the handler he had fought for. The call came without warning. Ethan was being discharged, and Rex was to be placed in a shelter. No more missions. No more partnership. No more bond. The decision was cold, impersonal, just another formality. To the military, Rex was just another dog, another asset no longer needed. He was abandoned. Rex didn't understand. He had always been loyal, always protected, always fought for his handler. But now he found himself alone, in a cage, surrounded by barking dogs and unfamiliar faces. His world had been turned upside down. There was no Ethan. There was no purpose. Just an empty space in his heart where his handler used to be. The days blended into one another as Rex sat, disoriented and confused, surrounded by walls that kept him from the one person he had always trusted. The pain of betrayal was almost too much to bear. The shelter was a cold reminder that even the most loyal could be forgotten. The shelter was supposed to be a new beginning. But for Rex, it was the start of a new nightmare. The humans there didn't understand him. The noise, the constant movement, it all overwhelmed him. He couldn't stay. He had to get away. In a moment of desperate resolve, Rex broke free, bolting from the shelter. He ran as fast as his legs could carry him, the taste of freedom bitter but necessary. He didn't know where he was going. He didn't care. He only knew he had to escape. Through the woods he ran, alone again, lost in the wilderness. His body ached, his heart heavy, but he kept running. He wasn't running from the world. He was running from the pain. He was running from the ghosts of his past. That's when he found the cabin. The abandoned structure stood like a monument to the past, its decay speaking to a time long gone. The door was slightly ajar, a sliver of light shining through the cracks. Rex stood outside, breathing heavily, his instincts telling him to stay. It was a refuge, a place where he could be alone with his thoughts, his grief, his past. It was a place where, for a brief moment, he could stop running. The cabin became his new sanctuary, a quiet place where he could lick his wounds, both physical and emotional. It was here that Rex would come face to face with the memories he couldn't escape. And it was here that the mystery would begin. There was something magnetic about the cabin that Rex couldn't resist. Despite his fatigue, his empty stomach growling from hunger, and the dirt that caked his fur, Rex stood outside, paws moving restlessly in the dirt, his body swaying slightly as if caught in an invisible tug. His eyes were locked on the darkened windows, the light from the dying day barely illuminating the decaying structure. Every inch of him screamed to move on, to leave this place behind, yet something kept him here, something deeper than mere curiosity. His head tilted slightly, ears pricked, as though listening to a voice that only he could hear. Every time his paws moved toward the door, a wave of unease seemed to hit him, a rush of anxiety that made his fur stand on end. Rex would pause, take a step back, and look up at the cabin as if waiting for something to happen. It wasn't fear, not quite. It was something else, a pull, a calling that resonated deep within him. Despite everything in his being telling him to leave, he couldn't walk away. There was an air of urgency to his hesitation, like a puzzle piece just out of reach, something he had to solve but wasn't sure how. The cabin stood silent, waiting for him to make the next move. Rex stood at the threshold, the shadows creeping over the door like a dark omen, but still he refused to leave. This wasn't stubbornness. This wasn't just a dog trying to find a place to rest. This was something more. Rex knew, instinctively, that whatever he was meant to find inside that cabin, it was just beyond his reach. It was almost as if he was waiting for the door to open on its own, for something, or someone, to come to him. But until then, Rex would remain here, staring into the darkness, feeling the pull he couldn't explain. The days dragged on, but Rex's behavior grew even more peculiar, more erratic. He spent hours pacing in tight circles around the cabin, his eyes never leaving the darkened windows, his senses heightened and on alert. The once peaceful and quiet air surrounding the cabin had turned into an oppressive weight that Rex could no longer ignore. His movements became sharp, deliberate, as though he were preparing for something. A confrontation, a battle, an unknown force that seemed to lurk within the walls. At times, he would stop abruptly in his tracks, growling lowly, the sound vibrating through his throat like an echo of something ancient. His hackles would rise, his tail stiffening as if he were confronting an unseen enemy. The growls were soft at first, but as the days went on, they became more frequent, louder, laced with a desperation Rex couldn't hide. He was trying to communicate something, warning of an unseen threat that only he could sense. His obsession grew with every passing hour. He circled the cabin, sometimes pausing to scratch furiously at the boarded-up windows with his claws, the sharp sound of wood scraping against wood breaking the stillness. Each time he tried to scratch his way through the wooden planks, he would stop abruptly, as though the act itself was futile. Yet he returned again and again, convinced that the answer was somewhere inside those walls. Rex's movements were calculated and tense. There was no joy in his actions, just a relentless pursuit of something just beyond reach. The cabin, once abandoned and still, had become a fortress of sorts, a place that seemed to hold secrets Rex was desperate to uncover. It was as if he was waiting for a sign, a trigger, a reason to break through the boundaries of this place and reveal what lay hidden beneath the surface. As if the pull to the cabin wasn't enough, Rex's heightened senses began to pick up on something more, a faint, overpowering smell that seemed to seep from the cracked walls, faint but unmistakable. It wasn't just the stench of decay that filled the air, but something more unsettling, almost familiar. It lingered in the cool evening breeze that brushed against his fur, a smell that reminded him of something long gone, something he couldn't quite place. At night, when the woods fell silent and the only sounds were the rustling of leaves in the wind, strange noises began to emerge from inside the cabin. The creaking of old floorboards echoed in the stillness, as though something was shifting within. Rex's ears twitched at every sound, his body tense with each noise that came from behind the boarded-up windows. The rustling sounds were faint, almost imperceptible, but they made Rex's heart race. Every time the wind picked up, he'd catch the faint sound of something, or someone, moving just out of sight. His eyes would dart around, looking for the source of the noise, his paws twitching with the need to chase the mystery that lay within those walls. It was a sound that seemed to call to him, familiar yet unexplainable. The very air around the cabin seemed thick with the echoes of a life once lived, of memories too painful to recall, but far too important to forget. The smell, the sounds, they all wrapped around Rex like an unseen web. The more he tried to make sense of them, the more they confounded him. He was caught in an emotional storm, torn between the desperate need to uncover the truth and the fear that what he would find might be more than he could handle. As Rex's strange obsession with the cabin grew, it became clear that this was more than just a dog following his instincts. This wasn't about hunger or the need for shelter. It was about something deeper, something tied to his past. There was a haunting familiarity to the cabin that Rex couldn't ignore, a feeling that the answer to his troubled soul lay inside. His actions became more personal, more deliberate, as though the cabin was the key to unlocking the emotional wounds that had followed him all this time. Rex no longer paced simply because of fear or confusion. His anxiety had turned into something else, a quiet determination. Every scratch, every growl, every watchful stare was his way of piecing together a puzzle he didn't even know how to solve. But he was determined to find the missing pieces, as if the cabin held the answers to all of his pain and loss. His connection to the place was undeniable. It was as though the cabin was tied to memories he couldn't fully grasp, memories of his time with Ethan, the man who had been both his partner and protector. Rex's search seemed to go beyond the physical realm. It was as if the cabin was the last place that held a link to the man who had given him everything, and it was this emotional bond that drove him forward, even as his heart ached with the weight of his past. Was this cabin a place of peace or pain? A refuge or a reminder? Rex didn't know. But what he did know was that it was the final chapter of his journey, a journey that had begun with loyalty and would end with the truth. That cold, Restless night, Rex's instincts drove him to the cabin's door. His paws trembled slightly as he stood before the threshold, hesitant yet determined. The door, old and swollen from years of neglect, creaked loudly as Rex pushed it open, the sound of the hinges cutting through the silence of the forest. The air inside was thick with dust, a heaviness that weighed down the once welcoming space. Every corner of the cabin screamed abandonment, as if it had been left in haste. The smell of rot lingered in the air, mingling with the mustiness of old wood and forgotten memories. Rex's heart pounded in his chest, and his senses were on high alert. He stepped further inside, moving through the darkness with slow, deliberate steps. His nose twitched, guiding him to the worn wooden floor beneath his paws. The floorboards, cracked and creaky, seemed to groan with each movement, as if the house itself was alive, hiding something deep within. His paws brushed against the floorboards, and for the first time, he noticed something different. A subtle difference in the way one of the planks shifted beneath him. The ground felt hollow, like it was concealing something beneath the surface. Rex's curiosity and instincts took over, and he began to paw at the wood. His claws scraped against the surface, and his heart raced with anticipation. The floor creaked under his weight as he dug, revealing a hidden compartment. It was as if the cabin had been waiting for him to uncover this secret, to unlock the memories that it had long kept buried. With every pull, the compartment seemed to yield more of its secret, the dust and cobwebs falling away as Rex's determination grew. He scratched at the edges, his heart pounding louder with every movement. It wasn't just a piece of wood he was uncovering, it was a piece of his past. And he could feel, deep within him, that this was the moment he had been waiting for. Rex's paws worked tirelessly, pulling the dirt and grime from the hidden compartment, each claw scraping against the wood as he dug deeper. His heart raced as the compartment opened further, revealing a small, weathered wooden box beneath the dirt. The box, aged by time and the harshness of the elements, was adorned with military insignia. His breath caught in his throat. The symbol, unmistakable, was the same one that had marked his time with Ethan, his loyal handler. The box felt like a piece of his old life, something sacred that had been hidden away for so long. Rex's claws fumbled at the edges of the box, trying to lift it free from the dirt, but it was locked. For a moment, frustration took over. His paws scraped against the hardwood, desperately trying to find a way in, but there was nothing. The box remained closed, just out of reach. Rex paused, panting heavily, his instincts kicking in. His sharp nose twitched as he sniffed around the box, and then, almost instinctively, he turned his attention to one particular floorboard. It seemed out of place, slightly loose compared to the others. He dug at it, his claws scraping against the wood until it gave way, revealing a small key hidden beneath. His heart leapt. This was it, the final piece of the puzzle. With the key in his mouth, Rex returned to the box. He fumbled with it for a moment before finally unlocking it, the satisfying click echoing in the quiet cabin. The lid creaked open, and inside, Rex found photographs, letters, and a small, shiny military medal. His paws hovered over the items, trembling with anticipation. Each photograph inside the box was a snapshot of a past long gone, yet deeply cherished. There were pictures of Rex and Ethan together, on missions, standing side by side, their bond evident in every frame. The photos showed them at their best, strong, confident, and unstoppable. But it wasn't just the photos that tugged at Rex's heart. Among them, there was a letter written by Ethan before his death. In the letter, Ethan expressed his love for Rex, thanking him for his loyalty and bravery. He spoke of their shared experiences in the field, of the bond they had forged during their most trying times. The final item in the box was a military medal, shiny, brass, and engraved with Rex's name. It was awarded for his bravery during the mission where he had saved Ethan's life. Rex's paws brushed over the medal, his heart heavy with the weight of the memories it carried. These were not just objects. They were the tangible remnants of a life he had once known, a life he had lost. The bond between him and Ethan was now etched into these pieces of history, pieces that Rex would carry with him forever. As Rex sat there, the box open in front of him, the photographs and letters scattered across the floor, it became clear this was his past. This was the life he had shared with Ethan. The connection between them was undeniable, evident in every photograph, every letter. Rex's eyes traced over the faces of his former handler, and he could almost hear Ethan's voice in his mind, speaking the words of the letter aloud. In one of the photographs, Rex and Ethan stood together on a mission, their faces filled with pride and purpose. Rex's ears were perked, his posture alert, and Ethan stood beside him, hand on his shoulder. The bond between them was clear, forged in the heat of battle, strengthened through shared hardships. But there was more to it, something deeper. These weren't just images of two comrades. They were the foundation of a relationship built on trust, loyalty, and unwavering love. The letter, carefully written by Ethan, brought a flood of emotions to Rex. Ethan's words spoke of their time together, of the sacrifices they had made. He spoke of Rex's bravery, of the countless lives Rex had saved, including his own. The letter was a testament to their bond, a bond that had survived the battlefield but had now been shattered by loss. Ethan's words were filled with gratitude, but they also carried the weight of a goodbye. As Rex pawed gently at the metal, his heart swelled with pride and sorrow. The medal was more than just an award. It was a symbol of Rex's devotion to Ethan, a recognition of his heroism. But it was also a reminder of what he had lost. Rex's tail twitched, his eyes glossy with unshed tears. These physical mementos, once just pieces of his past, had now become his lifeline to the memories that defined who he was. Rex's connection to Ethan was more than just a bond between a dog and his handler. It was the bond of two warriors who had shared a lifetime of experiences. It was the bond of loyalty, of sacrifice, and of love. And now, with these mementos, Rex could finally hold on to the memory of the man who had given him everything. As Rex sat there, surrounded by the remnants of his past, a final revelation began to unfold. His nose twitched, and his gaze shifted toward the cabin itself. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, one by one. The cabin, once a place of retreat and peace for Ethan, had been his sanctuary, a place where he could find solace after the horrors of war. And now, it was Rex's sanctuary as well. Rex's refusal to leave had never been about stubbornness. It had never been about guarding the cabin out of fear. It had been about holding on to the last piece of Ethan's world. Ethan had known Rex's attachment to him, and in his final moments, he had hidden these precious memories in the cabin as a gift for his loyal companion. The cabin, once a place of peace, had become a tribute to their shared bond, a final testament to their time together. As Rex stood at the threshold of the cabin, his heart heavy with the weight of his past, he understood now. This was where Ethan had chosen to leave the final pieces of their journey together. The items inside the box weren't just mementos, they were a message. The cabin wasn't just a place of abandonment. It was a place of remembrance, a place where Rex could find closure. For Rex, leaving the cabin now meant something far greater than just walking away. It meant finally letting go of the pain, the loss, and the trauma. It meant honoring Ethan's memory and moving forward, carrying with him the legacy of loyalty and bravery that had defined their time together. The cabin had served its purpose. It had given Rex the final piece of his journey, the last reminder of the bond he had shared with his handler. And now it was time for Rex to say goodbye. With the discovery of the box and its precious contents, a weight lifted off Rex's shoulders. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, he could finally breathe without the constant knot of anxiety in his chest. The cabin, once a place of torment and confusion, began to transform in his eyes. It was no longer the site of his grief. It had become a sanctuary, a place of closure. As Rex sat there, the old wooden box resting between his paws, the memories of Ethan flooded his mind. But this time, they weren't accompanied by anger or resentment. They were bittersweet, filled with love and sorrow, but free from the sharp claws of fear. Rex could now acknowledge the deep bond he had shared with Ethan. He thought of their time together in the field, the missions, the shared glances, the unspoken trust. He thought of Ethan's voice, the way he would call out Rex's name in that calm, confident tone, and Rex would respond with the same unwavering loyalty. But as much as it hurt, Rex understood now that Ethan was gone. And with that understanding came a strange kind of peace. The cabin, once a prison to his memories, now held the space he needed to heal. No longer would he spend his days pacing, his mind clouded by the anxiety of protecting the past. For the first time, Rex could allow himself to feel the grief that had been buried for so long. The anger that had tied him to the cabin dissolved, replaced with a quiet sorrow, but also acceptance. His loyalty to Ethan, though unshakable, had been fulfilled. And now it was time to let go. The days of guarding the cabin, of keeping the world at bay, were behind him. Rex finally understood that the cabin had served its purpose. It had given him a place to grieve, a place to remember. But now it was no longer a place of sorrow. It had become a place of healing, a stepping stone in his journey toward peace. As Rex's emotional healing began, it became evident in his behavior. The constant pacing that had once defined his every movement slowly started to fade. Rex no longer moved with the same unease, the same nervous energy. His body, once tense and rigid, began to relax. He could breathe deeper now, his steps more confident with each passing day. At first, it was subtle, a slight shift in his posture, a softness in his gaze. Rex would wander away from the cabin, no longer tethered to its presence by the need to protect it. He explored the surrounding woods with a newfound curiosity, his eyes softer, his movements more fluid. The restlessness that had once consumed him was being replaced by a sense of calm. For the first time in a long while, Rex was no longer haunted by the past. His memories of Ethan, though painful, no longer controlled him. He had begun to heal. Rex's journey was not immediate. Healing rarely is. There were days when the shadows of his past crept in, and Rex would retreat, unsure of what to do with the emotions that surfaced. But each time, he found himself slowly returning to the present, to the here and now. He didn't have to guard the past anymore. He was learning to live again, to embrace the future. His anxiety began to lessen, replaced by moments of peace, moments where Rex could just be a dog, no longer defined by the trauma he had endured. The transformation was slow, but it was undeniable. Rex had learned that while the past was a part of him, it didn't have to be his prison. There was still room for love, for joy, for healing. He was learning, one step at a time, that there was more to life than the memories of his loss. And with each new day, he felt a little more whole. As Rex's healing continued, he began to feel a shift in himself, a readiness to move on, to open his heart again. The cabin had served its purpose. It had given him the space to mourn, to remember, and to heal. But now, it was time for Rex to step into a new chapter. The past no longer controlled him, and he was finally ready to embrace the future. A new family reached out to Rex, hesitant but hopeful. They saw in him not just a dog with a tragic past, but a companion who needed care and love. At first, Rex was unsure. Could he trust them? Could he open his heart to a new family after everything he had been through? His past had taught him the pain of loss and abandonment, and he carried those scars deep within. But the family's patience, kindness, and gentle understanding began to soften his defenses. Slowly, Rex's bond with them grew. He watched as they treated him not as a broken dog, but as a friend, a companion who had something valuable to offer. Their love was quiet, patient, and unwavering. With every tender touch, with every kind word, Rex felt the walls around his heart begin to crack. For the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to feel something other than grief and pain. He allowed himself to feel hope. The scars of his past would never fully disappear. They were part of who Rex was, part of his story. But they no longer defined him. Instead of hiding from his pain, he had learned to carry it with him, knowing that it was a part of the journey that had made him who he was. And as Rex bonded with this new family, he realized that love was still possible. The memories of his past were still there, but they no longer controlled him. He was learning, slowly but surely, that healing didn't mean forgetting. It meant moving forward, one step at a time. Rex's journey of healing culminated in his adoption by a family that saw him for what he truly was, not just a dog with a painful past, but a loyal companion deserving of a fresh start. They understood the depths of his trauma and respected the journey he had been on. They knew that healing was a process, and they were ready to be there for Rex every step of the way. Rex's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. From a dog bound by the weight of his past, to a trusting and joyful companion, Rex had found a new beginning. His journey was a testament to the power of love, patience, and understanding. The scars of the past still lingered, but they no longer controlled his future. His new family had given him the gift of a second chance. As Rex took his first steps toward this new life, it was clear that his journey wasn't just about overcoming trauma. It was about finding peace and love once again. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, Rex was ready to face it. The journey of healing had led him to this moment, and with a new family by his side, Rex was ready to embrace the future. Before Rex leaves the cabin behind, there is a quiet, poignant moment of reflection. He takes one last walk through the woods that hold so many memories of his time with Ethan. The trees, the rocks, the paths they once walked together. Each one has a story, each one carries a piece of his heart. This walk is not just through nature. It is a journey of remembrance, a journey to honor the bond he shared with his beloved handler. As Rex moves through the familiar woods, the world seems to slow down around him. His pace is deliberate, almost reverent. Every step is filled with memories. Moments when he and Ethan sat by the stream, when they trekked through thick underbrush on missions, when they shared quiet nights under the stars. The air is filled with the scent of pine and earth, but to Rex, it carries the weight of the past. Each trail they followed, each tree they passed, held a memory of Ethan's laughter, his voice, the hand that used to guide him. The camera flickers back to flashbacks, glimpses of Rex and Ethan working together, Ethan calling his name, their silent communication in the field. These moments are a reminder to the audience of the depth of the bond they shared. Rex's loyalty was unwavering, and even in his grief, he never forgot the bond that held them together. This walk is Rex's way of paying homage to that loyalty. Despite everything, despite the pain, Rex will carry Ethan's memory with him forever. Rex's body, though still marked by the scars of war, seems to carry itself with a newfound strength. Each step is a symbol of how far he has come, not just physically, but emotionally. His loyalty to Ethan hasn't faded with time. Instead, it has matured into something deeper, something more peaceful. This walk, though bittersweet, is his final tribute to the man who stood by him through everything. Rex's walk brings him to a quiet spot in the woods, under a tall, sturdy tree where he and Ethan once rested together. It's here, in this serene, peaceful spot, that Rex makes his decision. He digs into the earth with determination, his paws moving swiftly through the soil, uncovering the treasures that hold the memories of his past, Ethan's letter, the medal, the tangible symbols of their bond. The camera lingers on Rex's face as he works, his focus unwavering. There is a quiet dignity in the way he digs, as if each movement is part of a ritual, part of the process of letting go. The weight of his past is not being erased but acknowledged in this moment. The soil feels familiar under his paws, and with each turn of earth, Rex is not just burying items. He is burying the grief and pain that has followed him for so long. The letter, written by Ethan, is buried carefully. The medal, a testament to his bravery, is placed gently in the earth. For Rex, these items are not just objects. They are the last pieces of a life he can never get back, a life with Ethan that was cut short. But as Rex settles the last layer of dirt over them, he feels something shift inside him. It's as if he's finally giving himself permission to let go. The past has shaped him, yes, but it no longer needs to control him. Once the items are buried, Rex sits back on his haunches, looking at the spot where they lie. His eyes, though filled with emotion, are calm. This is his farewell to Ethan, a final gesture of love, of respect. As he looks around, the woods no longer seem like a place of sorrow, but a place of peace. The air feels different now, lighter, as if the earth itself has accepted his tribute. Rex stays there for a while, quietly reflecting on the journey they shared. And in this moment, Rex understands that letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means honoring what was and finding peace in what is. The final moment of Rex's journey is both heartbreaking and beautiful. As the sun begins to set, casting a golden glow over the woods, Rex turns and takes one last look at the cabin. The place that once held so much pain, so many memories of loss and confusion, now stands silent. For a long time, it was a prison to him, a place he couldn't leave because he wasn't ready to let go. But now, with the burial of the past and the weight of grief lifted from his shoulders, Rex is ready. He takes a deep breath, his chest rising and falling with the calm rhythm of a dog at peace. His eyes, once filled with fear and confusion, now hold a quiet confidence. As Rex takes his first step away from the cabin, the camera lingers on his face, capturing the calm, serene expression that now defines him. This is not the same dog who wandered the woods in anguish. This is a dog who has found closure, who has reconciled with the past, and who is ready to move forward. With each step, the camera pulls back, showing Rex walking away from the cabin, through the woods, and into the unknown. There's a sense of finality in the moment, as if Rex has shed the weight of his past and is walking into the future with no burdens left to carry. The music swells gently, its soft melody underscoring the emotional release Rex feels in this moment of closure. The woods, once filled with the shadows of pain, now seem to embrace Rex. The future is still uncertain, but for the first time in his life, Rex walks forward with no fear, only peace. As the camera captures his retreating form, the audience feels the profound impact of his journey. A journey not just of survival, but of healing. Rex has let go of the past, and in doing so, he has found his way home. The scene fades out, leaving Rex walking toward the horizon, the promise of a new life ahead of him. The past has shaped him, yes, but it will not define him anymore. Rex is ready for the future, ready for the life that awaits him, full of hope, love, and the possibility of redemption. Rex's journey has been long and fraught with struggle, but now, in the warmth of a new home, everything feels different. The audience is shown Rex, no longer the anxious, wandering dog from the woods, but a joyful and peaceful companion. His new family is kind, patient, and understanding, providing him with the love and care he's always needed. Gone are the days of isolation and pain. Now, he's surrounded by the laughter of children, the comfort of soft beds, and the security of a place he can finally call home. We see Rex running happily through the yard, his movements light and carefree, the weight of his past seeming to lift with each joyful stride. He plays with the children, rolling around in the grass, tail wagging, his eyes bright and full of life. These simple moments, moments of joy and connection, are a testament to the healing power of love and trust. Rex, once a dog haunted by memories and trauma, now lives in peace, his once turbulent spirit calm and steady. Rex's transformation is nothing short of miraculous. From the dog who wandered the woods in search of closure, unable to trust anyone, to this happy, playful animal surrounded by a loving family, we witness the incredible depth of his recovery. As Rex lies contentedly in the sun, a quiet sigh escaping his body, the camera lingers on his peaceful face. The light, warm and golden, symbolizes the warmth he's found in this new chapter of his life. This is the life he's always deserved, a life filled with love, laughter, and the promise of brighter days ahead. The healing process isn't instant, but it's undeniable. Every day, Rex grows stronger, more confident, and more comfortable in his new home. He's no longer the broken dog he once was. He's a beloved companion, a friend, and a loyal family member. His journey from fear and pain to trust and happiness is a story of redemption, one that marks the end of a troubled past and the beginning of a bright future. As Rex settles into his new life, the story takes a moment to reflect on the profound bond between a soldier and his dog, a bond that transcends time, distance, and even death. The loyalty Rex showed Ethan, his handler, wasn't just a product of training. It was built on trust, sacrifice, and mutual respect. Through the darkest days, when Ethan's life was in danger, Rex was his protector, his partner, and his friend. Their bond was forged in the fires of war and solidified by their shared experiences. Even after Ethan's passing, Rex's loyalty never faltered. Though separated by death, Rex continued to carry Ethan's memory in his heart, honoring him in his own way. The connection they shared didn't end with Ethan's death. It lived on in Rex's actions, in the way he protected the cabin, in the way he refused to let go of the past. Rex's journey wasn't just about healing. It was about honoring the legacy of a soldier who had once been his partner in arms. The emotional core of this story lies in the idea that loyalty doesn't have to end with death. Rex's healing wasn't just physical, it was emotional as he moved from the trauma of his past to the joy of his new life. His journey is a testament to the power of love and the strength of the bond between a dog and his handler. It's a bond that, even after all these years, continues to shape Rex's world. In his new home, Rex doesn't forget Ethan. He carries his memory with him, and in his healing, he finds a way to honor the man who gave him purpose. The bond they shared was unbreakable, and though Ethan may be gone, Rex's love for him lives on in every moment of peace he now experiences. As the story reaches its final moments, the audience is left with a powerful message of hope. The screen fades to Rex lying peacefully in his new home, surrounded by his family. The once wandering, traumatized dog has found his place in the world, and the healing that seemed impossible is now a reality. The final line of the story, spoken softly but with immense weight, rings out. And sometimes, even the most broken souls find their way home. This closing line resonates deeply, symbolizing not only Rex's journey but the journey of so many who have faced hardship and trauma. It speaks to the resilience of the spirit and the possibility of healing, no matter how deep the wounds. Rex's transformation is a reminder that no matter how broken we may feel, there is always the chance for a fresh start, a place to call home, and the opportunity to embrace love and peace again. As the screen fades to black, the message is clear: healing is possible, and sometimes, the path to recovery leads us to places we never thought we'd find. Rex's story is a beacon of hope for anyone who's struggled, a testament to the power of second chances, and a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always the potential for light. Rex's journey has been one of transformation, from a proud and loyal working dog to a traumatized soul wandering the woods in search of peace. His path has been shaped by the painful memories of war, the loss of his beloved handler Ethan, and the abandonment he endured. At the start of his journey, Rex was broken. His spirit shattered by the emotional and physical scars left by the world he had once known. His life had been defined by loyalty and duty, but after Ethan's death, the meaning of his existence seemed lost. For years, Rex wandered, haunted by the shadows of his past, seeking answers in the depths of the woods. The cabin, a place of haunting memories and unresolved grief, became his refuge. It was there that he found himself, trapped between the past he could not let go of and the future he feared to embrace. But with every day that passed, Rex began to heal. Through his connection to Ethan's memory and the discovery of the hidden box, he was able to piece together the missing parts of his soul. The trauma that once consumed him started to give way to understanding, and slowly, the heavy weight of grief began to lift. The turning point in Rex's healing came when he found the love and care of a new family. They embraced him with open arms, offering him the patience he so desperately needed. With their help, Rex learned to trust again. The anxious dog who once trembled in the shadows of his past now found comfort in the sunlight. His emotional arc is a testament to resilience, a reminder that no matter how broken someone or something may seem, time, love, and care have the power to mend even the deepest wounds. Rex's transformation from a dog burdened by his past to one walking confidently into his future stands as a powerful symbol of healing. His journey serves as a reminder to us all that healing is not a linear path. It's one of pain, loss, and ultimately, recovery. Through Rex's story, we are reminded of the strength that lies within us all and the capacity we have to heal when we are given the chance. At the heart of Rex's story lies the incredible bond between animals and humans. This bond, built on trust, loyalty, and love, is one of the most profound and transformative relationships. Rex's journey from a soldier's companion to a lost soul, and finally to a beloved family member, underscores the immense capacity animals have for healing. They may not speak our language, but they understand pain, loss, and love in ways that transcend words. Rex's story is a reminder that animals, like Rex, carry emotional burdens that run deep. His connection to Ethan, forged through shared trials, was one of unwavering loyalty. Even after Ethan's death, Rex's commitment to his memory never wavered. The love and loyalty that Rex had for Ethan is a reflection of the bond all animals have with their human companions. And later, when Rex found his new family, he was able to form a new bond based on trust and care, showing that love, when offered freely, has the power to heal. This final message is about second chances, both for animals and the humans who care for them. Rex's journey shows us the healing that can take place when we give love and compassion to those who have suffered. It reminds us that animals, especially those who have been abandoned or have served, deserve the opportunity for a fresh start. The power of the human-animal bond is profound. It is built on empathy, understanding, and mutual respect. Through Rex's transformation, we see that, sometimes, the most profound healings come from offering others the chance to heal, to trust, and to find love again. In the end, Rex's story is a testament to the power of second chances, not only for animals but for humans too. When we open our hearts, we give the gift of healing and hope, and in return, we find ourselves healed as well.